But I'm going to start off by asking Ms. Kennedy Hart what excited why'd you write this play and why are we here?
Why'd you write this?
How'd we get here? How'd we get here?
How did we get here? Well, myself had a friend who found this newspaper article about Jack and Tom, and she said, "Oh, this would make a great play." And that's how it all started, really. And the play developed from there, and then I did some scholarly research on male impersonation, and that also led to research on sexual inversion and all that stuff, and all of it hit me all at once, and I started to think that it was all connected, so I just kind of threw it all together. That's how you got it.
Great. Are there any questions out there? Yeah, let's take it in front.
Yeah, at the end, the woman that was giving the monologue, I was confused as to what her role was, or who was she?
Questions about the woman at the end. Let's have Michelle talk about it.
Well, I think what we decided and felt right to me was that Tilly Bell, who's based on, you can talk about the real character, Vesta Tilly, is a spirit guide almost to Florence/Jack. And you know that one line that I say, the world applauds a woman on stage, the world applauds a woman in man's attire, but off stage it's another story entirely. I mean, that might not ring so true today, but you know, there are a lot of things we can always draw parallels, and so we thought it was really interesting how this woman, Tilly Bell, was lauded, Tessie, was lauded in her time. She was so famous, well, Vesta was famous for dressing as a man and performing as a man, but then in real life she was the womanly woman, like a real girly girl, and that was okay. But you have someone like Florence dressing up as a boy, no. And in fact, she was ordered to the psychiatrist, we're going to untwist you. Number one, you have to wear girl clothes from now on. So,
Was your question, did you think that...
She was her mom at one point, right?
No. Yes, I played her mom.
And you also played a different character.
Yes.
Right.
That was super
You can
confusing.
see it in the program.
I didn't get a
Tessie
chance
Bell
to
is
see that.
based on Vesta Tilly, who is a male impersonator.
No, and that's not, my husband
That's not
said
an
that.
uncommon.
My husband said the same thing.
I said the same thing when I was kids. Let's hear it in the back. Yeah.
After Jack gets exposed or Florence, what's the story after that? What happens after she goes through psychotherapy?
The story kind of ends, the factual information, and I do that because these are from early 20th century newspapers, which were highly sensational. So, and they project their own kind of ideas about this kind of behavior, what it means, how, and their own kind of narrative spin on it. But what we last kind of see is that, he was dressing up in silk dresses, and then he encountered Charlie and clocked him. And that's the kind of last little blurb about him.
We don't really know the facts
Yeah.
past that. I know Carrie Chapter did some research locally, and she asked the local library, no one could help her with that. We don't know if she continued wearing dresses,
And
Yeah, I know.
or had a job, still had a job, or what the deal was.
Yeah, as much as we, say that the newspapers weren't the most reliable source from the newspapers, that we see that Letty was interviewed and that they became friends after the whole ordeal and remained very good friends. So I like that.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I guess the question for all of you is, have you all worked together before on play? Because the chemistry was not perfect.
That was up to John. John did that.
That's all John. Well, Michelle and I have worked together before, but as I haven't worked with anyone else in the cast before.
The short answer is no.
Oh, and I worked with Sid many times.
But not as a whole, not as an ensemble, never before. This is the first time. And yeah, John Doyle brought us in. together.
Thank you for that. Any other questions? 3 weeks. Or
Thank you.
comments?
Oh, there's a good question.
that's great.
What was your name, George, and who else, the lady
Oh.
you played that was getting the votes?
Ms.
Oh,
Hancock.
Ms. Hancock.
Which one did you enjoy playing more than one?
Oh, it depends on the night. I'm a sucker for Charlie with his tooth, though, at the end of the day. It's fun. Thanks.
Here's another comment. I liked your writing line. I liked some of the interesting historical notes you were dropping in there that weren't too heavy-handed, but I liked the comment someone made about, they serve coffee with invisible hands. That was quote, and I thought that was really interesting because that puts another extra twist on it that you don't usually think of.
Oh, thank you. I really saw, as I began to develop these characters, how each of them was kind of like an outsider in some respect. And, in some ways, each of them kind of defies categorization and is marginalized in some respects. So that's kind of what I was trying to convey with that. And also the tension between the ideas of the new women, the new woman and the middle class, and then what that meant to, the working class individuals.
All right.
Oh, Heather has a question.
What was the biggest lesson or perspective changing thing you learned throughout your writing and research process?
I think I started, I think it started to be a message about letting Florence be Jack, and I realized that it wasn't about that. It's just, let people be accepted for who they are, and that doesn't necessarily fit. It doesn't fit into a neat little box. If you had to, we're always asked to define ourselves in check boxes. Usually they're the binaries, right? You're male, you're female, you're gay, you're straight, and that's so inaccurate for the experience of life. It doesn't work that way. And for someone like Jack Florence Firefly, as I like to call him, her, this labeling becomes really sticky, and so that's what really stuck out to me. This tension between identity and how we choose to define ourselves. And even Vesta or Tessie, when she's talking, she's kind of stuck in between, feeling liberated when she's playing a man, but also feeling like she needs to be like all of these characters are kind of stuck by the labels that people put on them. And so that became really tangible throughout the process, I think.
Just wondering if any of you have an actual favorite part or act or scene. I guess is what you call it.
Well, I'll tell you, Big George has become a favorite, although it was terrifying in rehearsal. We couldn't get there with the straight face.
So much fun in rehearsal.
So
much
it's
fun in rehearsal.
become fun, more fun than it was.
And the cigar tastes amazing. It's great flavor. Yeah.
All of the swirling energy and all of the different interactions and how we get to leap through time and discover where each of the characters are lying in that time period, I think it's really fun. So that doesn't give you a particular scene, I know, but it's really magical.
I would like to know what Sue's favorite character is.
Oh,
Well, I love them both. I
Yes.
think they're both.
well,
I'm telling my
yeah,
favorite.
the
My favorite
psychiatrist is such an arrogant know-it-all, and the grandfather is just delightful. I mean, I love my scenes with Claire, with the grandfather, but I mean, I like them both.
And Heather, looking at the stars, I think between these two wonderfully talented actresses, I love that scene. I really love that scene.
I think we have time for one more question. Great, I'm going to ask then. What happens next, Ms. Kennedy Hart?
What happens next is I take a break. No, but I think it's really been kind of like a wonderful grow in the process. And what you guys don't know, which you should, which speaks to the talent of all these people, that particular person was, I was just shooting them scenes, you know, like midway through the rehearsal process, and everyone's like, oh, how does my character turn out? And I said,
How does it end?
we'll see, I'm writing the scene tonight, I'll let you know. And so it was really, you know, like, I'm sure that they had many heart attacks throughout the process, but I found it a really interesting way to work. So I didn't really get to see the big picture, and at times, because I would write it one scene at a time, like on my computer, it's just a bunch of scenes, it's not put together. So it's really interesting for me to see how it gets put together, and so go through a revision, making something clear, like, you know, the mom, Tessie Bell thing is something that people kept saying, so how do I make that connection without saying, this is what this is supposed to mean? And figuring out, you know, what changes can be made, and then I guess putting it out in the world and seeing what happens to it.
We're really very fortunate, I think, to have this process being with Iron Age under the direction of John Doyle, because we work so extensively with each other building the ensemble and doing improvisation throughout beginning the rehearsal process. So that's what, you know, regardless, as the ideas and as the pages and the actual dialogue came, we had such a strong sense of, you know, who we were and how we could interact with each other before that. So.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
Have
you,
a great
guys.
night.